All right, today is our last day of area, so we're looking at the area of a trapezoid, which I think sometimes is the most difficult, just because it's a little bit of a complicated formula. But if you follow the formula, it's no big deal. All right, so let's first look at what a trapezoid is, okay? You first have to know that a trapezoid is still a quadrilateral. It's a quadrilateral, but it has four sides. That's a quadrilateral, but it only has one pair of parallel lines. That's the big difference. It only has one pair. So this is a parallel line, okay? Parallel lines. Remember, parallel lines are lines that will never meet, okay? So they're parallel. I'm trying to draw, but I can't draw straight here. So they are parallel lines. They will never meet. If you notice these lines here, at some point, they would meet way up here somewhere. They would meet, okay? So these are not parallel lines. These are my parallel lines here. That's highlighted in yellow, parallel lines, because they will never touch, okay? That's a big deal. You have to know the parallel lines for the formula because you're going to be using that, okay? So that's what a trapezoid is. It has four sides and it only has one pair of parallel lines. That's what makes it different from a rectangle and a parallelogram, okay? The height of a parallelogram is from base to base. Normally it will show you in a dotted line, just like everything else, and it forms a 90-degree angle there, okay? 90-degree angle. So it's going to show the dotted line either here or here, okay? So let's pause. I want you to pause the video and I want you to write down, well, here, I want you to write down the formula. Now, don't get confused, but this formula is very tricky, but let's write it down first, then we'll talk about it, okay? So here is our area formula for a triangle. You've got two separate ones. One you're probably going to use the most, but I want you to be aware of the other one, okay? All right, so area equals 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height, okay? That's the formula. That's what you'll probably see most in books. But this formula here means the exact same thing, but it's a little bit easier to understand. Again, you're dividing by 2 instead of multiplying by 1/2, which is the same thing. So it's base 1 plus base 2 parentheses times the height equals, and then divide by 2. Okay, so this one is a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to take you step by step. So pause the video and write them down, then we'll talk about it. All right, so let's do this example here. If you can draw that on your formula, you should have been drawing these examples anyway, okay? So let's go through it first. So the first thing I have to know is I have to figure out what are my bases. Remember, my bases are my parallel lines. So look for the parallel lines. So here are my parallel lines. Those are my parallel lines. That's very important. First thing you have to do is find your parallel lines. Okay, so once you have your parallel lines, then you can start writing it out. I'm going to insist, even though I'm not there right there with you guys, I'm going to insist that you need to write it down. All right, so base 1 plus base 2. It doesn't matter which one you think is 1 or 2. You're just writing them down. So that would be 6 plus 20 parentheses. Write it down. Times your height. Remember, your height is going to be from base to base. So that is 10. Write it down. Then over or divide by 2, okay? If you want, guys, instead, you can just write, because I know some of you don't like that, the way that it looks right there. If you don't want to put it over 2, if you want to simply write divide by 2 at the end there. Sorry, my pen's not working again, guys. So divide by 2. That's fine. You can do it that way. All right, so let's simply grab your calculator then and let's work it out. Okay, so we're going to go in order here. So 6 plus 20. Make sure you follow it. It is plus here, not multiplication. That's where people have a problem here. You're adding your bases. So 6 plus 20 is 26. Okay, times 10. So 26 times 10 is going to be 260. Then divide by 2 equals 130. So it's 130 square centimeters. Okay. So if you're putting in your calculator, if you're going to put in your calculator, you're going to put 6 plus 20 equals times 10 equals divide by 2 equals. Put equals in between each one. Okay. All right. All right, now you may say, like, how in the world did anyone come up with that formula? Like, where is that coming from? I've got an example here, and it's going to show you how it came up with it, which I think is really pretty cool because even I was amazed when I saw this formula. So let's look at it. Let's see if I can make it a little bit, oops, if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. Let me see, hold on. Nope, too big, too big. Okay, all right, let's look at it.
It's got 4 sides. It's a quadrilateral, like I said earlier, and it has exactly 1 pair of parallel sides. These little arrows here mean that this side and this side are parallel with each other. So now let's label. Your parallel sides, you're always going to call those bases. And it doesn't matter which one you label which, but this top one, I'm going to call that B1 for base number 1, and this bottom for base number 2. Remember, your bases are always going to be those parallel sides. So it doesn't matter if this is flipped up or rotated over. Wherever your parallel sides are, those are going to be your bases. And I could call this B2 and this one B1. It doesn't really matter. Then the distance between your bases right here is going to be your height. Okay, and same thing, even if it's kind of rotated a little bit and might not look like a typical height, the distance between your parallel sides will be your height. Okay, so look for that. And it's always going to be, your height is always going to be perpendicular, right? That's what that means, to your bases. Now that we have my trapezoid kind of labeled, let's look at where the formula came from. If I draw a little line here from the midpoint on this side all the way up to here and cut this little piece off and rotate it and then slide it down, well, now I've made one big triangle. Okay, and notice the area didn't change. I still have the same amount of red, right? I just cut a little piece off and moved it. That's all I did, rotate it and then moved it down. So the area hasn't changed from my original trapezoid. So now it's just a triangle, and to find the area of a triangle, we know it's just base times height divided by 2. Well, what is my base? Well, my base is just going to be my original B1 plus my original B2. If I add those together, that will be the base of this triangle. The height is still this height. Okay. So to find the area of this triangle, I would do B1 plus B2 times the height, and then divide all of that by 2 because it's a triangle. So with that,
Holy moly. Okay, so do you see that? So that's why I'm adding your bases together. So if you add those bases together, then that would make whatever this, it would be a big triangle here if I were to cut it apart, but you're not going to cut it apart. But that's where the theory comes before, as to why we're adding those bases, okay? All right, so let's do some practice. You're only going to get better if you have practice. You're only going to get better with practice, okay? All right, so let's do these. So on the top of my paper, I always, especially with, especially with the trapezoid, I always write out my formula again. So it's base 1 plus base 2, parentheses, times the height, divide by 2. So I always write that on the top of my paper because otherwise I get confused, okay? All right, so I got to find my bases. Remember, my bases are my parallel lines. So look over here. My bases, my parallel lines. Those are my parallel lines. So write it. You must write it out, guys. You cannot just grab a calculator. You must write it out. All right, so 20 plus 30, parentheses, times the height. Go and look at your height. Your height is from your base to your base, so that must be the 12 there. Times 12, then divide by 2. Now you can grab your calculator. Now you grab your calculator. Remember, this is plus. Follow it. 20 plus 30 is 50 times 12. 50 times 12. So that would be 600. And then divide by 2. Okay, you must write this out, guys. All right, so this would be 300 square centimeters. Okay, I'm gonna do this one with you. Let's go down here to this one because it looks a little bit different, okay? All right, so let's look at this one. All right, so my bases, so look, my bases are my parallel lines. So base 1 plus base 2, 25 plus my base here, 56, parentheses, times the height. All right, I got to figure out my height here. My height is going to be from my base to my base. So that's here to here. That's this one. It is not this one. That is not what I want. Okay, I want from the tip to here. So that's times 77 divided by 2. Okay, now that's a big one. I don't know all this, so I'm going to have to grab my calculator on this one. So I'm going to grab it. Hold on. So I'm going to go 25 plus 56. Oops. 25 plus 56 equals 106. 100. Is that right? 25 plus 56. No, 81. I didn't think that sounded right. 81 times 77. So 81 times 77 equals, holy moly, 6,237. Then divide by 2. Divide by 2. So it is 3,118.5 square feet. Okay, that's an 8 there. Okay. All right, why don't you come over here? I want you to try this one out. This one up here, try this one out. I want you to write everything out, and I'm going to come back and see it, all right? Just this one. Try this one. Pause the video and come back. All right, guys, check your work. So my base is 6 plus 12 is 18, times 4, 72, divide by 2 is 36. Okay, how'd you do? All right, this one, I want you to pause the video once you have this formula set up for me. Pause the video until you have that formula. All right, let's see, do you have it set up right? All right, pause the video when you have your final answer. All right, check your answer. Did you get 39 square feet? That's a 9. 39 square feet. 39. All right, how you doing with that, guys? How you doing? Okay, biggest thing, make sure that you're adding your bases, adding them, not multiplying them, okay? Please, guys, I insist again that you write it all down, okay? All right, you've got 3 questions for you to do, 3 questions, just 3, okay? I want to see those answers tomorrow, all right? Don't get frustrated, just take it step by step. All right, have a great day, guys.